Now the question is, what do we do with these three elements today? Can we update the way in which Israel has successfully met these three challenges? The challenge of, and now I would not necessarily put this in Holocaust terms. I think we can look at these three areas on their own as three crucial areas of Jewish communal existence. First of all, the physical well-being and protection of the Jewish people. The second is the psychological self-image of the Jewish people, the ability of Jews to feel pride in being Jewish, to want to be part of the Jewish story, to see themselves as the next stage of the Jewish narrative. And the third is spiritually, the state of Judaism. What does Israel and Zionism have to say to each of these three areas of Jewish existence today? And what I'd like to do here really is offer some possibilities. And perhaps afterwards we can open for discussion, and I'd be very happy to have this augmented. The first area is the impact of Israel on peoplehood. Let's take the Aliyah of the 80s and the 90s, the Ethiopians and the Soviet Jews. Soviet Jews, half Jews, quarter Jews, eighth Jews, almost Jews. And that's an important point. I'm not just being facetious. Because what Israel has meant is that we took the most distanced group of Jews in the 20th century, which were the Soviet Jews, that Jewish community that was farthest along the road to disappearing, and by bringing them to Israel, however reluctantly, however grudgingly, on our side and on their side, there has never been a less happy Aliyah in the history of this country on both sides. Most of the Soviet Jews didn't want to be here. Israelis certainly don't want them here, even though I think the Soviet Aliyah helped save the state of Israel after the First Intifada. But that's a different issue. By bringing 1 million plus Soviet Jews of various Jewish gradations to the Jewish state, we created a dynamic in which the most lost tribe of the Jewish people, far more lost than the Ethiopians, who were called the lost tribe, they would now be in a position of, to one extent or another, assimilating into the Jewish people. And we take for granted the extent in which that positive assimilation has happened. Hebrew, the Jewish holiday calendar, and marrying Jews, serving in the Israeli army. One can go on and on. The level of Jewish commitment that Soviet Jews, including Soviet non-Jews who are married to Jews, are assimilating into the Jewish people is one of the great Jewish victories of our time. Having created a situation in which assimilation works in reverse. And this is the first community that we can see that happening with, because until now, all the communities, all the aliyot that came here were to one extent or another pretty Jewish. Even the German Jews of the 1930s. We were dealing with very Jewish Jews. This is the first time where we can test the possibility, the power of positive assimilation. And for a people, that is a source of strength that every other nation in the world takes for granted. When immigrants come into your society, they will try to become like you, or their children will try to become like you. That is happening now among the lost tribe of Soviet Jews in a way that I think attests to the absolute knockout victory of Zionism against diasporas. That's first of all. Secondly, Ethiopian Jews. If there hadn't been an Israel, the Ethiopian Jews would not be living in Queens, for example, because American Jews would not have lobbied Washington for an airlift of Ethiopian Jews to New York. I'm very grateful for the American Jewish lobbying effort for airlifting Ethiopian Jews to Israel, but we all know that it would not have happened had there not been an Israel. The Ethiopian Jews would have stayed in the highlands, they would have been an object of curiosity, and they would have never rejoined the Jewish people. So that's an example, I think, of a physical rescue which remains relevant to our time. French Jews, if there was no Israel, anti-Semitism in France, they'll go to Miami. South African Jews will go to Australia. The Ethiopian Jews had nowhere to go. That is the great victory of Zionism. Okay, the next component of peoplehood, recreating a collective culture. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier about the power of positive assimilation. What we tend to take for granted as Israeli culture would be seen as an astonishing outburst of Jewish renewal in the diaspora. And I'll give you an example. A couple of years ago, I was at one of these festivalen. You all know about festivalen, these New Age festivals that coincide with most of the Chagim. This was Shantipi, which coincides with Shavuot. And there were 10 or 20,000 people there. It was Friday night. Sheva, the band Sheva was playing, and they played Shir HaMa'alot. And you had 20,000 kids singing Shir HaMa'alot on a Friday night. If you had asked almost any of them there, are you aware that you are engaging in a religious act? They would almost certainly say, well, of course not, because this is Chilul Shabbat. There's a band, we're at a concert. Imagine that happening in the diaspora, and we would not hear the end of how wonderful diaspora renewal is, and how you in Israel have lost your most basic Jewish compass, and you're an embarrassment to the Jewish people, and you're Hebrew-speaking pagans, and we in the diaspora are the Jewish future. We have done the Jewish renewal without being aware of it. Look at contemporary Israeli rock music. Look at Ehud Banai, Eti Ankri, Shotei HaNevuah, Beit HaBubot, the most recent example, on and on and on, and Moshe Ben Ari. Look at the quality of Jewish religious music masquerading as Israeli pop. And it's simply astonishing. The quality of the piyutim that Ehud Banai is writing. Ehud Banai is writing prayers for a future Israeli Siddur. And we take it for granted. That's Ehud Banai. And again, I'm sorry, I won't mention names, but I listen to the music that's coming out of the Reform movement, and Shlomo Kalbach used to say it's cute and sweet, but zelozeh.